2016, Osaka, Japan. Yusuke Yukimatsu is a 37-year-old construction worker who, like many of you, feels incredibly beaten down and worn out by this economy. University comes and goes in the blink of an eye, and after the economic crash of 2008, he, like millions of others, can't seem to find a job at all, no matter how many times he applies. Faced with no other options, he settles for the most brutally honest job he can find, pouring concrete on Osaka construction sites. The work is absolutely miserable. His daily routine consists of constant jackhammers, dust masks, and calloused palms. He repeats this routine from 6 a.m. to sunset, every single day, for years. Then, just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, Yukimatsu was about to receive just about the worst possible news a human being could hear. You see, Yukimatsu is suffering what he describes as a constant migraine that wouldn't quit for 3 weeks straight. At first, he simply chalks it up to the miserable conditions of his job. After all, he's constantly dehydrated and surrounded by toxic cement dust at the construction site. Then one day, the worst thing imaginable happens. It starts out as just another day at work, pouring cement onto an Osaka construction site per usual. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Yukimatsu collapses, going into a violent epileptic seizure. He wakes up in the hospital where doctors break the terrible news. Yukimatsu has a stage 3 malignant brain tumor. The disease is incurable, and his days are numbered. According to doctors, he only has a few months to live at best, and possibly even only a few days. Already so depressed and beaten down by life, Yukimatsu quietly accepts his fate. He spends his remaining few days in hospice care and goes quietly into the night, as just another footnote in history. Except this isn't actually what happened at all. You see, today, 9 years later, Yukimatsu is not only alive and, well, he's absolutely thriving right now. He's living his dreams as a DJ, amassing millions upon millions of views on YouTube. He boasts an incredible following of over 400,000 on Instagram and travels the world performing live in front of thousands for a living. How the hell did he get here less than a decade after being diagnosed with one of the deadliest cancers known to man and being told he only had months to live? Well, we're about to find out. Yukimatsu was not always a worn-out, jaded construction worker in his 30s. Like many of you, he was once a vibrant young man with dreams and ambitions. His father was a huge fan of the 70s English rock band Deep Purple, and as a result, his mother would drag the entire family to the local CD shop every Sunday. It was at this time when a young Yukimatsu first fell in love with music. This passion continues into his middle school years, where he becomes enamored with alternative rock bands like Sonic Youth and electro music like The Prodigy, and you can still see these influences permeating throughout his music today. From that point forward, the musical passion has been lit, and a young Yukimatsu's ultimate lifelong dream is to one day become a DJ. But right now, there is unfortunately no time to reminisce on his childhood. He's in the hospital emergency room, and his life hangs in the balance. Doctors tell him that he needs immediate brain surgery, or he could be dead within days. He undergoes not one, but 2 craniotomies, the scars of which can still be seen on his head today. July 8th, 2016. The same afternoon of the same day he's diagnosed with this deadly disease, he quietly sits on the steel bench outside of the clinic, summer cicadas buzzing loudly all around him. This life-shattering experience has taught him one thing. Life simply is way too short to waste on a BS, miserable, wage slave existence. He has nothing to lose anymore and makes the boldest decision of his life. His construction worker days are over. No more waking up at 6 a.m., no more pouring concrete all day long while making somebody else rich. He's either going to live out his dreams as a DJ or die trying. He quits his job on site the exact same day, his construction hard hat still swinging in his hand as he walks home. And this is when the legend of Yousuke Yukimatsu begins. Yukimatsu was a bit of a superhero. Throughout his whole time working in construction, he had a well-kept secret. From Monday to Friday, he lives and behaves as your typical construction worker, keeping his head down, doing his job. Friday night, however, belongs to him. A friend throws a house party and needs someone to push buttons. Yusuke volunteers, and he brings a battered laptop and a borrowed controller. This moment, he fades from a J-pop hook into a 160 BPM gapper kick, and the room absolutely detonates. He is 29, and the DJ spark is lit. For the next 6 years, he lives somewhat of a double life. Neon vest by day, vinyl crate digger by night. He plays every slot offered, closing at 5 a.m., sometimes for only $50 and a free beer, sometimes just barely enough for a train ride home. Word spreads about the shirtless guy who can weld Burzum into trance without even clearing the floor. In 2014, the sliding door moment arrives. Techno Don DJ Nobu wanders into a tiny Kobe bar. He hears Yusuke slam a noise record into acid and immediately invites him to Tokyo's legendary Future Terror. An ordinary construction worker is now on flyers beside One O Tricks Point Never and Marcel Fangler. Yet, despite this early taste of success and recognition, Yukimatsu still felt chained to his miserable construction job. Like most up-and-comers in the entertainment industry, gigs were sporadic, unstable, and just straight up insufficient financially to be able to make a full-time living. On top of all this, he had a young daughter in Osaka and a mortgage-sized rent to pay, so it's totally understandable why he couldn't just up and leave. His cancer diagnosis, of course, would change all of this. And what you're about to see is one of the most inspiring human stories of just how far one can go when they finally stand up to the system with nothing to lose anymore. Hey guys, we set out on a mission during the summer to take down the biggest, most vile Gen Z hater, the Angry Guy. A straight up horrible human being who hates Gen Z so much, he even celebrates them dying. Thanks to you, we've gained a ton of ground on him over the summer, and we've set a new goal to surpass him in subscribers and defeat him once and for all by the end of the year. So, if you're new here and enjoying this content, definitely consider subscribing and helping us take down the biggest, most evil, final boss Gen Z hater. With your help, we can absolutely do this. The specific cancer Yukimatsu was diagnosed with is one of the absolute deadliest ones with one of the worst survival rates. The road to recovery was bound to be incredibly strenuous if he did even manage to survive in the first place. After 2 brain surgeries, he was looking at an entire year of chemo and radiation therapy, which is an absolutely miserable experience. Yusuke is in a bit of a dilemma here. On one hand, he's more inspired and motivated than ever before to pursue his lifelong DJ dreams. His cancer diagnosis, in a strange way, has emboldened him more now than ever, as he literally has nothing to lose anymore. But on the other hand, it also means his ability to practice and really hone his craft is significantly hampered. Making it in the music industry is hard enough as is, and trying to do it in between grueling sessions of chemo, radiation, and surgeries, needless to say, make it all the more difficult. But there is one silver lining. Thanks to his amazing team of doctors, his surgery was a success, and his hearing and speech capabilities remain intact. Between treatment sessions, the hospital gives him the weekends to go home, and he uses every minute of this time relentlessly pursuing his dreams. He clamps in his headphones over the stapled incision on top of his head, locks in, and becomes fully immersed in his music. He practices around the clock, day and night, until the neighbors literally bang on the wall, begging him for peace. During this time, something really interesting begins to happen. He rediscovers his will to live, something he never had during his whole life on the construction site. His passion for music gives him something to fight for and a reason to keep pushing through the brutality of cancer treatment. Quitting the site gave me a reason to stay awake during chemo. I wasn't fighting cancer. I was too busy finishing the next mix. Then the tumor shrunk because the doctors cut and poisoned them. But the music kept my spirit big enough to survive the cutting and the poison. This fighting spirit appears to have worked a miracle in his real life. In 2017, after 2 surgeries and endless, grueling chemo and radiation sessions, his cancer was officially declared to be in remission. He's been given a second chance in life, and he's determined to make the absolute most of it. He launches Zone Unknown, a series of epic, now legendary parties in the Tokyo and Osaka regions. Arca sings live over his decks. Palmistry plays between power tool noise sets. Kamixlo ends the night with reggaeton at 150 beats per minute. He refuses to ever repeat even one single track. He keeps a spreadsheet so that returning audiences never hear yesterday's echo. Fashion labels begin courting the guy who looks kind of like a weird combination of a monk crossed with a forklift, but he politely declines, still lugging his own flight cases up venue stairs. Yukimatsu is absolutely living it up right now. After a decade of being used up and worn out by the system, he's finally living his dream that he always deserved. But the best part is still yet to come. 2020. For a guy who was on his deathbed not that long ago, Yukimatsu is doing well, by all accounts right now. But to really solidify his music career and escape the misery of wage slavery for good, he still needs his signature big break, an album that will propel him to timeless international superstardom. He decides to take a bit of a risk here, something he's not really scared of doing anymore after everything he's been through. In 2020, just 3 short years after quitting his construction job and beating cancer, he drops his most iconic album yet, Midnight is Coming. 12 tracks of unreleased Japanese experimentalism stitched into a slow burn 76-minute mix. The album is an instant global success, with Pitchfork's Philip Shelburne calling it one of the most immersive DJ mixes in recent memory, and highlighting its slow-burning intensity and subtle transitions. Yousuke is not only a household name in Japan now, but his international profile begins to spread like wildfire as well. The album is such a hit that for the first time in his life and his career, he will get the opportunity to go on an international tour to perform. Malmo, Paris, London, Berlin. Each city gets a bespoke set. Each set ends with him drenched, shoeless, and grinning like someone who has outrun death and brought friends along for the victory lap. And this is because, well, he quite literally has at this point. His career hit a new pinnacle earlier this year in 2025 when his new set, Boiler Room Tokyo, hit a staggering 12 million views in 6 months, making it the most watched Japanese DJ set ever. One day, he was casually strolling through a quiet park, the Volpark Humboldtine in Berlin, Germany, when a group of young teenage fans immediately recognized him and flocked him, asking for pictures and autographs. He revels and soaks in the moment, realizing just how far he came from his hospital deathbed not all that long ago. He greets them in perfect English he pretends not to possess, and then disappears into the night to catch his daughter's school recital the next morning. So, we've all heard the saying, life is short, more times than we can count at this point. It's been repeated by movies, pop culture's inspirational speeches, etc. so many times it's become a cliche now. But let's take a minute to really break down the context of just how short life is. The average human expectancy is 76 years. Of course, even this is no guarantee. There are so many threats in life, from diseases to natural disasters to car accidents, that none of us knows exactly when our time will be. But let's just hypothetically say we're the lucky ones and we'll live to be 100. Seems like a long time, right? But when you consider that the Earth is billions of years old and human history alone is 10,000 years, you really start to understand the scope of just how short life is. It's really a blink of an eye when you see it from this perspective. Now, we don't know what happens after this life. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe we'll go to heaven and reunite with our loved ones in some sort of eternal bliss. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back as a whole new person. But here's one thing we do know. We only get this life one time. You'll never have the same memories, experiences, and existence of this particular life again. If the human lifespan was 10,000 or even 1,000 years, maybe then it would make sense to trade away some of your life working away in misery so that you could enjoy a few hundred years later. But the reality of biology is we don't have that luxury. We'll probably get 100 years at best, and likely less than that. And given the harsh reality of just how short human life is, relatively speaking, maybe, just maybe it's time we adjust our mindset accordingly. We're always told that pursuing our dreams, enjoying our hobbies and passions is a waste of time, that we need to be productive and work hard and study. And hey, if you're one of the few people who legitimately enjoys your work, that's great, more power to you. But that's not most people, unfortunately. We don't have 100 years. If we're lucky, we'll get 100. When life is truly this short, it's time we ask ourselves, what's truly the waste of time here? If we're only here for such a short amount of time, shouldn't we be enjoying it as much as we can? Shouldn't we be pursuing our hobbies, dreams, and passions? You know, the things that really make us happy. Now, of course, I understand that you need to work and pay bills, but heck, in this economy and this job market, it's already impossible to get a job in the first place, and even if you do, they pay such dog shit wages, you're not going to make enough money to pay your bills, even if you do work anyways. This economy has left us all like Yukimatsu in a way. Sure, we might not have a life-threatening cancer, we're definitely not in as dire of a position as he was, but in a way, we all kind of have nothing to lose at this point. The reason we were encouraged to go the traditional route in the past was because it was supposed to give us safe jobs with stable incomes. But as we've all seen and experienced by now, jobs are anything but safe these days. And while I guess incomes are stable, they're stably and reliably dog shit for decades. That's the way in which they're actually stable. With how crap the job market and economic conditions are, maybe, just maybe, we might as well pursue our dreams at this point. It might be time to ask ourselves, just like Yukimatsu did, what do we have to lose anymore?